the chop. The chop on the violin. Hello everyone, welcome to another chapter of 3D Various, and today I would like to talk about the well-known and actually famous technique on the violin called the chop. The chop is a stroke that you can produce on the strings of your violin, viola or cello. The chop is a very common technique by now, which is mainly used by fiddlers or in general contemporary string players, especially for comping. Actually, the chop is very common now because many violinists are using this technique, and other famous violinists are also using and teaching how to produce the sound. So you can refer also to Tracy Silverman, Casey Dreesen, or many other contemporary string players. So today I would like to explain you how do I use it, how can you start to play or use the chops on your own music, and to talk about the basics of how to start with this technique. The chop is all about hitting or stroking the strings of your violin, viola or cello in order to produce this percussive sound on your instrument. So in general, I will just explain you how can you grab your bow and how can you start to produce this sound. There are many violinists giving some courses about how to chop or how to learn even how to write it. So if you want to learn more about it, we have prepared also an article or a post on our website. But in this case, I would like to explain the practical part so you can read and also watch this video to learn about it. If you look at my bow, I'm just doing a small movement with my thumb. It's about scrolling the frog of your violin bow to the opposite side of the violin bridge. So in this case, it's that way, not to the inside. It's more thinking about outside. Once I have it on that way, you can just let down your wrist to stroke the strings. Without thinking about my fingers, I would just let down my wrist, so just look at it. Without any movement, it would produce like kind of no sound. So at the same time, you need to think about making this a little bit outside the bridge, and the gravity will do the rest. At the beginning, you just need to think about this movement going to the opposite side of the bridge. Just matter of probably 1 millimeter or not even. So it's just like going that way. So in general, you would have two movements, but in a really short place. It's just the way of thinking, not of the way of actually playing, because it's not that exaggerated. It's not that going that way that far or going down too strong. It's just letting down. And look at my hand. I'm working with this, but I'm also working with my fingers. My fingers are letting down the bow, also to stroke the strings. And if you have noticed my left hand, I'm muting or holding my strings all the time, so it doesn't work with the open strings. At the beginning, we just need to mute or grab all the strings and just think about the right hand. I'm hitting especially two strings at the same time. Normally I would do it on the D and the A string, but you can also do it on the G and D. It depends on the instrument. For example, on viola, probably you would play on the G and D, or like in my case that I have a 6-string violin, so I'm just looking for the center, and the center would be actually in between those strings, the G, D and A. So if you think about these two movements or these two forces working up together is because you're thinking about going that way, but the gravity makes you go down. More exaggerated, or not the way you should do it, is more thinking that way. Many string players are afraid that when you play the chops, the hair of the bow will just break or fall down, but you don't need to worry about it, because normally when you play classical music, the forte or fortissimo expressions make more pressure to the hair of your bow than the chop. The second step. Once you have managed how to produce the basic sound, which is the downstroke, then we can move further and try the upstroke. So instead of hitting the string and taking out the bow, we'll just try to leave it there. And then with the same pressure, just take out the bow, moving up. It might be something like this. Okay, so once you have managed to produce the downstroke, the upstroke, we can move forward. The first exercise that I would recommend is just to put a metronome and to practice with it, okay? When you have the metronome, try to practice giving the stroke or giving the chop on the 2 and the 4th of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's put the upstroke. One, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now it is starting to swing. The second step that I recommend is to start adding some harmonies. At the beginning, I would just recommend doing some fifths or fourths, just to start giving some idea or harmony to the rhythm, but this is not our main concern. We just need to stay focused on the rhythm. In this case, I would be using my 5th string and the 4th string, well, in this case, a D and A. So the chord is hitting on the 1st and 3rd beat, and the chop is hitting on the 2nd and the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the left hand, I'm using kind of a technique that is very common on the guitar or for mandolin players, which is muting the strings of your instrument. So please notice that each time that I'm making the chop, I'm also muting with the rest of my fingers the rest of the strings, or in general, all the strings of my instrument. Okay, so far we have learned how to make the downstroke, the upstroke, how to add some harmonies, and how to mute with the left hand. So the next step, if you are ready, I would start thinking about what Tracy Silverman calls the 3D chop. 3D because you need to start thinking about 3 dimensions. So it's going up, down, and forward. Inside, close to the bridge, outside, farther or outside the bridge. Okay, so probably you have noticed that when I'm playing closer to the bridge, the stroke is not that hard or that strong, and when I'm playing outside, it's stronger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Instead of doing the stroke close to the bridge, now we are playing the open strings, or in general, or chords. So let's think about chord close to the bridge, stroke outside the bridge. So like very exaggerated, it would be this movement. For this video, we will end up at this point, but before finishing, I will explain you how can you use it for doing some loops. I'm Eduardo Bortolotti from 3D Various. Please leave your comments and tell us more about you. If you are already playing with chops, if you have already practiced this technique before, or if this is completely new for you and you are struggling with it. So if you have any questions or comments, you know where to write them, and we will be happy to answer and explain you more about it. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and to share this video with all your friends.